my friends. Welcome to Tyrone's channel. I'll be talking about my third favorite Western, and that is The Searchers. It was released in 1956, May the 16th. Directed by John Ford himself. Produced by C.V. Whitney. And that beautiful music score piece by Max Steiner. Rotten Tomato gave this a 94. It made about $4.8 million. This Western is a masterpiece, as you can see. John Wayne and John Ford did 14 films together. 9 of them were Westerns. Unfortunately, there's only one Western I don't like of theirs, and that is The Three Godfathers. To me, it's boring, it's unengaging, and it's flat. But you might like it, so give it a shot. It was released in 1948. John Wayne and John Ford are the best combo of actor and director in the history of cinema history. They did a lot of great movies together. You should give them a chance. And believe me, you might enjoy it. For sure you will. So, John Ford was born in Maine. His parents came as Irish immigrants. They had 13 children. Pretty sweet, isn't it? Pretty amazing. And it's actually damn beautiful. And that's the truth. 13 kids. That's awesome. John Ford joined the Navy, but they declined him because of his bad eyes. But he was already doing arts and crafts, and he was already doing some paintings. But his brother, Frank, was already in Hollywood. He was already directing Custer's Last Stand, which was released in 1912. He was working for Universal. He gives him a job, his brother gives him a job, John Ford, as a prop man, a stunt man, and a camera guy. And John Ford learns the film business from the ground up. He does a series of movies and westerns with Harry Carey. But his big break was The Iron Horse, his epic western released by Fox Studio in 1924. John Ford becomes an A-lister director because of this smash hit. This movie was shot in Monument Valley, between two states, Arizona and Utah, by the Navajos, that's where they live, and the representation. And here comes this upcoming star. His name is the Duke. His name is Marion Robinson. Marion Robinson Morrison. Marion, it's not a good name, is it? So that's why he calls himself the Duke. So the Duke is playing football. He has a scholarship and he's really good at it. He gets hurt, but not because he plays football, because he loves to surf. He lands hard on the shores of the beach and gets a serious injury on his shoulder. So he has to quit playing football. So his coach gives him a job because he knows the head studio of Fox. And some of his teammates go there to work there. The Duke meets John Ford, and the Duke becomes the third prop man, the second prop man, and then becomes the first prop man. The Duke is doing a really good job setting up the scenes and the props for John Ford. But all of a sudden, the Duke daydreams and gets in the shot. He gets in the shot of John Ford in the camera. And John Ford sees a star that's growing. And he noticed that the camera loves the Duke. And he puts Duke in small parts in his movies. And then gives him dialogues along the way. And here comes the great Raoul Walsh, a great director, the most underrated director in the history of Hollywood. He was directing a movie called The Big Trail. It was released in 1930. and he needed a leading man. And who gave the Duke? Who gave the Duke the name John Wayne? Who was it? Was it John Ford? Was it Fox Studio? No. It was the great Raoul Walsh. The Duke's name was born. It was born in the spring of April, 1929. He was called John Wayne. And the legend began there. John Wayne does a great job in this movie, this Western. Raoul Walsh has this new camera technology. They're shooting this movie with a 70 millimeter camera. But unfortunately, they have to shoot it twice with the other camera that's a 30 millimeter. But unfortunately, there's only 24 theaters in the United States to actually show this movie of a 70 millimeter. It was a lot of money. It cost a lot of money to make this movie. It's a great Western. You could see John Wayne was a star in this movie. He does a good job. But John Wayne gets punished because he has an awesome name, doesn't he? He gets punished because he has a flop. A flop because you're in the Great Depression and Hollywood didn't care. And they put him in a bunch of B westerns. He did about 40 westerns of B flicks that were garbage, unfortunately. Maybe some of them were good, but most of them were garbage. I have them. Not all of them, but most of them. But John Ford is upset because his John Wayne, his Duke that he was grooming, was stole by Raoul Walsh. Sorry, John Ford. John Wayne had to take care of himself. So it took a while for John Wayne and John Ford to talk to each other, about 4 or 5 years. By 1935, they finally started talking. Pretty long, huh? But what's his name? John Ford has a movie in mind for John Wayne. And it's called Stagecoach. It was released in 1939. He has Thomas Mitchell, and he has a lot of great character actors for John Wayne. He shoots this in Monument Valley. John Ford hasn't done a Western for at least 8 or 9 years. Pretty crazy, huh? And he gets a big hit, and he has one of the greatest shots in cinema history with John Wayne, and when he zooms in with his character as a Ringo Kid, and he cocks the rifle, and the legend begins really hard. Pretty sweet, huh? So John Wayne has a lot of great Westerns. There's so many of them, it's not even funny. And this is why he's one of the best. You should check out his Westerns. But The Searchers, as him playing Ethan Edwards, is his masterpiece. He plays his character really hardcore, and he plays him to the hilt as a racist guy who hates the Native Americans. He comes in the scene, and all of a sudden he's riding the horse. And it's this beautiful music score piece. It gives you chills, you know. And when she opens the door, it's just awesome. You have to check it out. But he also has co-stars like Jeffrey Hunter, who plays Martin Pauly, a great character who's a half-breed. He can't stand him because he's half, Indian. He does a great job. He does a really great job, actually, Jeffrey Hunter. I love his performance. He's the conscience. Pauly's the conscience of Ethan Edwards in this movie. And then you have Veronica Miles, who's the love interest of Martin. They had this great scene, this kissing scene of them kissing. It's kind of corny, but it's cute in the kitchen. You're going to enjoy this movie, man. You also have War Bond, who does an awesome job as playing the ranger and the preacher. He's been in over 100 films. He's been with John Wayne in a lot of films and John Ford. And then you have Natalie Wood. She's so beautiful in this movie. She's a beautiful face. Her voice is very beautiful. And she does a great job, but she has a small part. And then you have Henry Brandon, who plays Scar. Unfortunately, I wish there was a real Native American who plays this, but that's how they did things back then. But he does a good job. But there's a scene between John Wayne, Ethan Edwards, and Henry Brandon as Scar. And he tells them, "You speak good American." And you have to laugh because he's saying to himself, the real Americans are the ones with the feathers on their head. We should be speaking their language, don't you think? But you're going to enjoy this scene. Check it out, my friends.
Buenas tardes, jefe. Caballeros, this is the great cicatrice. Watchy Scar, huh?
Plain to see how you got your name.
You big shoulders. Young one, he who follows.
You speak pretty good American. For a Comanche. Someone teach you?
Tisha, bene, pelacana kwe.
About P.A. Pokim Temoe.
Temoe is right. We come to trade. Only not out here. I don't stand talking in the wind.
Javier, caballo acá. Dan un par de paseos para el jefe.
You speak good Comanche. Someone teach you?
You stay out of here.
Not likely. His sons are dead, so his wife sit on the other side of his lodge.
Are all those his wives?
2 sons killed by white men. For each son, I take many scalps. Zeritan oshte. Zeritan oshte.
Well, I hope you enjoy that scene between Ethan Edwards and Scar. Pretty intense, pretty heavy, wasn't it? John Wayne gave you the greatest performance of his Western career there. It was pretty awesome, pretty sweet. It was a great Western. I'm not the only one who thinks that this is one of his best films. Buddy Holly loved the performance of John Wayne. He wrote his title song called "That'll Be the Day That You Say Goodbye. That'll be the day that you make me cry, baby." Pretty sweet, isn't it? Buddy Holly and the Crickets enjoyed it so much, they must have saw this more than once. And many other people. But it was overshadowed by the critics. The critics didn't even acknowledge this movie. It was talking about racism and all this other stuff in it. You know? But when they die, people started to enjoy it more, you know, around the mid-70s and the 80s. They realized this movie was a masterpiece by then. They were blinded for a long time, my friends. You should check out more of John Wayne and John Ford films. They're great, my friends. You can learn something, and I'll tell you one thing about this. You'll never get depressed of watching an old movie. You won't. You'll never have to worry about swearing and the filthy garbage they put in nudity. These movies are clean, and your soul will be clean if you watch this. Not like those other ones that are made today. So there should be a special tax for the Native Americans because they've been screwed for so many years. You know, by the white settlers, by the USA government. By 1812, going up, they saved the United States so many times. And I think we should appreciate them. And there should be a tax taken out of us, at least 2% or 1%, out of our check, to help the Native Americans because they live in impoverished and representation where they live. God bless the Native Americans. And God bless the USA. And one last thing. Maybe, just maybe, I made you into a Western fan. Yeah, man.